Hello, it's Tessa back with you for another episode of Newscast. Today we're talking meat, or lack of it. Just what is going on at the Isle of Man meat plant? Why can't you buy what you want from your local butcher? And why, oh why, is produce being literally skipped?
There was a load of meat skipped yesterday, and I know that for a fact because, as you know, I work in the industry. I don't know why it was put in a skip. Somebody needs to answer to this. Alf Cannon knows about it.
I drive the cattle wagons, and I have done for 30 years. And I went to a farm, and this has really annoyed me. I don't know whether it's made me annoyed, cross, or whether I'm going to cry. But I went to a farm, picked up prime cattle, and he said, they're the best cattle I've ever put off this yard. So I went to the next farm, and he was a show winner at the fat stock shows. So that's the type of cattle I was taking in. I got into the abattoir, and here were the lads, and they were skipping prime beef. And I just wanted to take them cattle back home. It's shocking what's going on up there, and I don't blame any of the under management. This is middle management and top management. That was criminal what they were doing the other day. Criminal. We see on the interface and whatever, butchers can't get their meat. There were somebody in Peel, Tate's, they can't get pet food, and they're throwing prime beef in the skip.
Just before the Easter weekend, a number of island butchers took to social media to complain that they hadn't received their supplies of meat as expected. They were critical of a lack of communication and leadership at the government-owned facility and were forced to apologise to customers who couldn't order what they wanted. In response, Isle of Man Meats apologised, telling Manx Radio there had been recent breakdowns of equipment which was more than 30 years old, which had resulted in slower processing times. Nigel Davis is the chairperson.
We've had a number of breakdowns of production equipment at the Isle of Man Meat Company, and it should be understood that we're working with production equipment and machinery that in some cases are around 30 years old, so quite aged, let's put it that way, and to a large degree quite specialised because there's obviously no other similar plant on the island, and the support of those machines are often located off island. So it makes repairs rather more challenging and kind of long in terms of getting to a solution. Now, because of that's been going on in the background for a number of instances we've been having, this has resulted in rather slower than we would expect processing time, especially around and moving into Easter period, where of course the demand is higher. So the combination of what I've mentioned, the factors I've mentioned, have created some stock availability issues for which we, of course, can only apologise. It is obviously the fast-moving, more in-demand products we tend to be able to supply, but some other kind of produce is definitely available. We've been trying to drive through the business a bit of change, or quite a lot of change, which I'm happy to discuss with you later. And obviously, in the context of the engineering and stock management and sales areas, we're currently doing some review and updating and changing, and including some capability building in order to create an environment within the business that will avoid these instances going forward, we hope. But change is never easy, and there are bumps in the road, but we're trying to mitigate any impact on our stakeholders, including, of course, our customers, wherever possible.
And we will come back to talking about that change shortly. Let me just ask you, though, in terms of communication with the local butchers, the stakeholders that you mentioned there, what was the communication with them over that Easter period? Did Isle of Man Meats let the butchers know that there was going to be an issue with supply?
I'd like to comment generally about communication, if I may, from the organisation. I'm going to be very honest. We've been undergoing a major change program. Again, we'll discuss it later. That has meant we're rather internally focused over the last months. And I need to acknowledge on behalf of the company that our communication has not been what it should have been. In terms of farmers and producers, A recent meeting with the president of the MNFU, he did remark our communication with the producers has been better than it has been in the past, and we're reaching a level of communication which they believe is necessary. So we've introduced monthly newsletters. We've started informing all our producers when we need to arrange timings of the incoming animals, and so on and so forth. We even offered to present and be present at regional MNFU meetings, and we're having annual producer meetings scheduled for later this year. So from a producer perspective, we're working on it, acknowledging that we're not as good as we should have been. With the customers, I would also say we have room for improvement. A specific example of Easter, which we're talking about, communication should have been going out to all our customers, in butchers included, but I have to acknowledge that some, if not a few, did not actually get communicated with as instructed. The procedure didn't work, and that's we have to acknowledge that.
We have been contacted by some listeners, some who work in the industry, and they have told us that meat is being skipped. So by that I mean putting in a skip to dispose of it, and they have been quite alarmed at that. Can you just give me a clear picture? Is meat being skipped at the meat plant?
Based on your specific question about last week, I can confirm that there was a quantity of meat disposed, and I want to explain exactly why. This disposal is due to a shortened shelf life, which was required during a period when we were revalidating our used by dates. Okay, and there's a process has to go through in order to do that, which takes up to 8 weeks. So during that period, we had to produce and have a very much shortened use by date, which is 13 days. That was the main root cause, but that was also in combination with a procedural error in operating process surrounding stock rotation. So due to the what I just mentioned, there was a quantity of stock built up, which we could not sell out to customers either here on the island or overseas before that 13-day shelf life ran out. Product impacted was largely lamb and beef trim, together with some offal. Now, obviously, as an organisation, we regret very much the disposal of any amount of product, disregarding the quantity. We don't want to dispose of anything. We know the huge efforts that Manx farmers, expend in producing such high quality stock for local and export markets. However, as an organisation, as leadership, we must adhere to high quality and food safety standards. And, consequently, we always have to make decisions in the best interests of our customers and consumers. Selling this product would have been in contravention of the law. We were not able to sell this product. So the out of stock issue is a separate one to the one we talk about disposal of product.
One of the questions that was raised to us, though, is whether that meat that was being thrown could have gone to, say, the wildlife park. Could it have been used in a different way? Obviously, as you say, it couldn't have been sold, but could it have actually not gone to waste?
I'm not a food safety expert, so I have asked that question, and my advice from someone who I deem to be an expert in the matter, saying it would not have been allowed, despite the fact dog food or wildlife park, it still would not have been allowed to be utilised in that way either. That's my understanding.
Now, you did mention the farmers there. One of the people that contacted us told us that they actually they pick up cattle, and they were so concerned about what was happening and what is happening at the moment that they actually wanted to return the cattle to the farms that they'd come from. Can I ask you, is there a danger that issues like this can damage the confidence that the farmers have within the meat plant to the point possibly where they wouldn't want to use it?
I mean, any instances like the ones we discussed and any other ones that have happened and potentially will happen will cause people to wonder whether they want to do business with an organisation, whatever it may be. Our job as leaders and management in that organisation is to drive through change. So this organisation is fit for the future, because at the moment, I would argue that it's far from fit to lead a decent, reliable service for this country.
So what is it that the management at Isle of Man Meats are doing to be able to take this forward and to try and reduce the problems that we've seen?
I think we should go back, at least I will go back, to the Burney report, which was published in November 22, which I think is definitely in the public record. And that described an organisation with long-term and deep-seated issues and challenges. The root causes of those problems are multiple. They've been caused by external factors, whether it be competition, customers, suppliers, substitutes, whatever you like. However, there are also numerous internal issues: organisational structure, capabilities, compliance, adequate and robust policies and procedures weren't in existence. So it can be argued that, and I don't want to comment on previous leadership, but something can only be concluded, in my view, is something that's been going on for an extended period of time, okay, and is not sustainable. I mean, that's what the Burney report actually said. So there is no question in my mind, a transformation, because it's a transformation. It's not a change project. It's much bigger than that. Burney report has highlighted many things, but when you start actually getting inside, you peel an onion, and as you peel, more and more things are discovered. And I'll just give you some idea about what I have found and the management have found in terms of what the problems are. In theory, we have to make sales. There was no sales function. This needs to be a demand-led organisation, not a supply-driven organisation, which it is at the moment. There was no HR function. There are no qualified engineers. There's no management information. The management information system is 20 years old. An aging asset base, which I referred to earlier. Not fit for purpose policies and procedures, including compliance and food safety. I mean, and no training budgets, no training of employees for years. I mean, and I can go on and on and on. What I could say, what of the management, the new leadership and a new board, which came in kind of mid last year. So in the last 6 to 8 months, what has been achieved? A new organisational structure has been designed and implemented. The senior leadership team reporting into the managing director is in place. That includes a sales director for the first time who's got 30 years experience. We've got a production trainer role created to bring up capabilities in the production hall. People who don't want to come with us or are poor for performance have left the organisation. We've got qualified engineer resource in place. We've got a new sales management information system implemented, and we successfully renewed our accreditation with the BRC. Now, there is still much to do. The scale of the change is significant, and honestly, to say, we're at the beginning, and any big transformation we undertake, anyone in any organisation, in such a short period of time, there's bound to be bumps in the road. Unfortunately, they're unfortunate, but that's most likely to happen. As the organisation, and we're talking about the employees, have to migrate into the new ways of doing things and embed it into the organisation. We need to build a solid foundation which is resilient and fit for purpose, regardless of any strategic route we choose in the future.
Have you got the resources enabled to do that? Because that sounds like you've got a really strong plan. It sounds like the management there really know what they want to do. Obviously, we know that the funding comes from the government. Is there the resource? Is there the money there to effect the change that you're talking about?
Well, I mean, I think that question is for DEFRA and the Treasury, of course, in government. Obviously, we are speaking to them and partnering with them as we build the way forward from a budget perspective into the next financial year. And obviously, there is, like any, there's a negotiation happening right now as to how we can manage expectations from the government perspective in terms of subvention and providing a good service to our key stakeholders, and those are the farmers and our customers.
We talked about confidence within the farming industry before. Can we just finish on confidence for consumers? Obviously, whenever we hear of issues, I think people's confidence does get knocked. Are you confident that the product coming out of the meat plant is a good product and that we can maintain that food security that we as people who live on an island so desperately need?
The food itself, I can vouch 100%. It is absolutely safe to consume. It always has been, and certainly is today. So, and I will buy it this weekend and will consume it with my family, including my wife and children. So I've got absolutely no doubt, and everyone out there listening should have no doubt. It is a fantastic product to consume. The meat plant is a strategic asset for the island. It is absolutely a fundamental piece of the food security strategy and plan for this island. And I think the government, at least the ones I speak to, are fully supportive of that concept and understand it very, very well. I think we can achieve that or maintain that? I think there's no other choice. And the leadership of the plant, the leadership of DEFA and the minister and the management in the plant are all 100% behind transforming this business into something that can provide the food security or be part of that plan for food security on the island going forwards.
Thank you for making it to the end of the Little Manx Radio newscast. You are obviously someone with exquisite taste. May I politely suggest you might want to subscribe to this and a wide range of Manx Radio podcasts at your favourite podcast provider so our best bits will magically appear on your smartphone. Thank you.